let's just go ahead and finish up our discussion. I went through chapter 6, and it has a lot of different miscellaneous information. Really, the only thing I find that's actually important is what cloud computing is. Have y'all done this before? Bart has. You have? Have you? No? Okay. We're just going to go over the high-level view of cloud computing because it is definitely something that a lot of businesses have moved to. Of course, y'all have done it for business. Have you had any businesses that are definitely anti-cloud computing that you've had to work with?
Well, yeah, medical side of it.
Okay, yeah.
With the HIPAA stuff.
Oh, yeah, I bet that's annoying.
And we've got a manufacturer that just don't want their stuff out there. You know? Mm-hmm. They just real picky because they've got sensitive,
sensitive equipment.
They don't even patent it because they want people
to even know how it's working. Yep.
Wow. Patent's only good for so long, and then anybody can go into
yeah.
that.
Well, is it 14 years? Or something? Yeah, and just copy it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and the other problem is that you get a patent, and if you don't patent it right, they may be able to do a couple other things, but that usually doesn't happen.
So I mean, they're really sensitive about that.
Okay. So we're just going to talk about cloud computing, which is really just using someone else's machine. That's about it. You got it, Matt? Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm now going to explain that in the next 15 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Connects to the cloud via the internet. Okay, right. The idea is that you're going to use someone else's environment for, what do we have? Doing tasks, running applications, storing data. It's nothing too new because you've probably been doing this before with like Rackspace or you borrowing servers, but now they just try and make it a little more interoperable with everything that you wish to connect. And the nice thing about their services is you're able to build your basically your network system on the fly. Do you use a cloud? Yeah, all these things use some sort of cloud-based software, so chances are, do you use a cloud is yes. All right, there's different categories depending on what your needs are. So is it software as a service? Was it distribution model in which application is hosted by a vendor or service and made available to customers over the network? Right. So the idea is that you're just accessing a service. You don't really care about the architecture behind the service. You're just doing it, accessing it. So this is more of the highest level one. And it's just running the software. All right, we're skipping that. Again, the cloud is just some other warehouse of machines. If you go and look at AWS, they have, how many locations do they have in the US?
7.
Is it 7? You just came up with that on the spot, didn't you?
No.
Well, they have, I don't think it's 7 sites, 7 locations. It's more like, I think it's 4 or 5, but each location has about 3 to 5 sites as backups in case one site goes down. Right?
There's a YouTube video of a Google warehouse
Oh, yeah?
cluster, and it's all it is just racks and racks and racks of these, like the Dell small servers, like an R710 or something like that.
Yep, yeah.
And I mean, it's just mind-boggling how many they got in there. Well, it shows a guy just, one goes down, he just goes and he pulls it out, swaps the hard drive and sticks another one.
Shows it back in. Yep. Good to go. Automatically images it and you're ready to go. Yep. All right, backstory. Okay, computer storage, you know about this, internal, blah, 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 blah. This is not useful at all. Wow, these slides are terrible. I'm really bad about this.
So this is chapter 6.
Yeah, okay, here we go. This is the part that actually matters. Yeah. Well, chapter 6, it goes into warehouse computing and all these other terms that really everything has been merged into cloud computing is what has gone on since the book was published. So really learning the rest of chapter 6 is meaningless unless you want a history lesson, but this isn't history of computer architecture, it's computer architecture. Right, Matt? Mm-hmm. Unless you'd like a history of it.
Maybe for the final, or the midterm, just
you
do a history paper instead.
You'd like a history paper? Uh-huh, okay. So platform as a service, let me make sure I get this one right. You rent the hardware, OS, storage, and network capacity. So notice that's your job to still put in the software, configure it correctly, and get it up and running. As opposed to infrastructure as a service, great. This one you actually have the hardware where you just have the equipment. You choose the equipment and then you got to load in the operating systems. Notice that the platform is you're virtualizing the server. So on a platform, you're basically virtualizing an operating system, maybe running on some type of hardware, you don't really know which. With infrastructure as a service, you're actually renting the specific hardware, and then you need to load the operating system and all the network capabilities from there. Which do you choose? It actually depends on what you need. Most people end up doing platform because that's about as much configuration as they need. They just say, hey, I want a Windows box with this much processing power. Okay, we're done. Very few people need to actually go down to the operating system, the hardware level, and manage their own operating systems. Y'all see the difference there? Because you will encounter that from day to day. All right, why the cloud? Hey, y'all have done here. Why do most scalability,
redundancy,
and redundancy, right?
availability.
Wait, are you AWS certified?
I should. AWS, Azure.
All right. Oh, you're Azure. That's the one you've been using.
Yeah.
Okay.
My company.
Yeah. So
I use Google Drive and Google Docs.
that's about as much cloud you need right now, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can be less expensive, especially if you're just trying to rent the hardware and software, although I'll tell you that sometimes it can stack up depending on what your resources have, what resources you have. The big thing is really renting a warehouse to store all your hardware and paying the electric bill. Or you can just borrow, pay AWS to take care of it. The nice thing is, you can use any computer or device with an internet connection. Of course, the downside there is you have to have an internet connection in order for this to get up and running. The device that you access the device you're using to access, nor the device that's running necessarily has to be a large internal storage system. It's great. They usually do a very good job making sure it's compatible with all the operating systems, and depending on if you did platform or infrastructure, if you chose platform as a service, then AWS or Azure, it's going to be managing all the updates automatically for you, so you don't have to worry about the security per se. Where if you did infrastructure, you're in charge of that.
Security's not real.
It's an illusion. Disadvantages, of course, still there are some security issues. The biggest one, of course, is you're basically handing out your entire project to Amazon, AWS or Azure, and just trusting that they're going to behave nicely with what you have. You may not like the terms of service or the privacy policy as well. And maybe you don't like their security team that they have at AWS, or you disagree with their policy. So there are some advantages, but you got to drink the whole Kool-Aid, right, in order to get it going. Yep, that was it. I told you it was going to be real fast. That's really all that chapters. The only important part of chapter 6. That's basically it. It's cloud computing. We could go through a very extensive example of it, but y'all have taken on networking, so hopefully you know how to create a router, make redundant machines, hook them up, fall over. Yeah. Raid. Great. Any questions, Matt? I didn't think there would be.
You used the exact same slideshow last semester for your
And operating systems. That's right. I sure did.
And then you did the exact same thing where you were like blah 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 blah. For the
I'm
stuff
glad
that
I'm
didn't
consistent.
matter.
It's good I'm consistent. Thank you, Matt. Any other comments you'd like to make? No?